Hi, this is Dr. Calvina Ellerbe with Union EAP, and today we're going to talk about the number one way to improve your health. There's so many things talked about as far as health, exercise, nutrition, but there is one thing that affects everything, and that is your sleep. You can start to transform your health tonight. So, why is sleep so important? Every single night, we have this miraculous cure that was given to us so that we can heal our body, deal with any of the stress and the strain of our days. And when we do that well, we increase our energy, we improve our mental clarity, we reduce the risk of accidents. And in our line of work, in the union, we know that's very important. You boost your immune system. So your ability to literally fight disease is improved when you get good sleep. You also lower your risk of developing every form of chronic disease there is. And so this absolutely, if I haven't convinced you yet, is the number one way to transform your health tonight. So you might be wondering now, we live in modern times and there's so much happening in our lives and we're so busy. We have all these things going on. How can we actually improve our sleep experience? Well, I'm going to give you quite a few tips, so I hope you're listening. Write them down. Remember these. The very first thing is make sure you are sleeping in a dark, quiet room. Silence your space. If you think about how the world works today, it's bright in the daytime and it's dark at night. It is because we were created to settle and rest when it's dark. That darkness tells our body that it's time to slow down. But in modern times, it's hard. Why? Because we can just turn on the light. You can't turn on the switch outside, but now we can turn on the light in our house. We can look at our phones, which is another light. We can turn on the TV. But if you want to get sleep, you want to slow down and get some rest and turn those lights off. And then the best time to sleep is important to know. It's between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. This is the darkest part of the night. And this is why it's very, very important to be asleep during those hours. That is when you're going to get the most healing properties for your body and for your health. So you get the most benefit when you have a dark space and you sleep between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. Another thing you can do is make sure you have a consistent schedule. So make sure right around 9 to 10 o'clock, you're slowing down. You're not still answering 1,000 calls. You're not watching TV. That you're settling your body down and your mind down at the same time every night. That will cause your body to say, it's time to sleep. So even if you got other things to do or you feel overwhelmed, your body will shut down anyway. So create a consistent schedule. Along these lines, turn the screens off. So an hour before you go to bed, put your phone away. I know that's hard because you might get a text. I know sometimes I get a text or a call from a friend and I'm like wanting to see what she's talking about. But one trick I use is I turn on, if you have an iPhone or Android, you can tell your phone to go out silence at 9 o'clock. For me, it's 9 o'clock because that gives me an hour to settle and not have those notifications going off and make me want to look at it. So an hour before you go to bed, put the screens away, even television. So a good decision, a good way to move towards that is maybe to read or maybe just kind of connect with a family member or just try to calm down, right? So put those screens away. Another thing you want to do is avoid alcohol or caffeine. I know many of us like our coffee and sometimes we think it's okay to kind of have a glass of wine to calm down, but it is best to avoid alcohol and caffeine in the evenings. Those things can excite us. And alcohol actually disrupts the sleep cycle. I know a lot of people think like alcohol can help things calm down, but they actually disrupt the sleep cycle and you tend to awake more. And so make sure you avoid those things right before bed. Another thing you can do is one that many of us don't think about because I like to eat. I know I'm not the biggest person, but I get hungry. Avoid eating within 2 hours of bed. You might wonder like, what does this have anything to do with sleep? What happens is when you eat, your body has to digest it. Digesting is hard work for our bodies, and it causes our system to stay activated and engaged when obviously at night we want to be calming down and slowing down. So 2 hours before bed, make sure you're not eating anything. You can drink water, but no food, nothing heavy, because it keeps our systems engaged, as well as increase the risk that you'll have acid reflux because you're laying down, right? So we want to avoid that. This next tip might surprise you because it seems like it has nothing to do with sleep. Make sure you get sunlight early in the morning. The second you wake up, get into the sunlight. Turn on the lights. This tells your body that it's time to wake up. When you reset your rhythm by making sure you get light when it's time to get light and get dark when it's time to get dark, you tell your body that it's time to get good sleep. You promote better sleep at night this way. So early in the morning, get sun exposure. Get in the sunlight. That actually helps you sleep better later on. The next thing is avoid late night workouts. Sometimes it can feel really, really good to like have a good workout, but you don't want to do that at night. If you're paying attention, the pattern is simple. Make sure you're settling at night. When you do a workout, that kind of revs up our system and it tells our body that it's time to go. So you want to avoid late night workouts. This last tip may also be pretty surprising. It is be mindful of your thoughts. We sleep better when we start to shut down our thoughts and be positive about the world we live in. When we are stressed out about our to-do list and the bills and the children and our spouses, it keeps our minds engaged. And when our minds are engaged, it is very hard to have good sleep. So it makes it very, very hard for us to drift off at night. So I've given you quite a few tips, and I hope you take my advice because these are going to be some of the best things you can do to get good sleep. And as a reminder, good sleep leads to better mental health, better physical health. It reduces accidents. It decreases your risk of chronic disease throughout your life. And one that I didn't say before, it literally can add up to 9 years to your life. So get good sleep, get good rest.